Hi, boys and girls, lads and lasses, and welcome back to Wednesday night's movie, and it is Galaxy Quest. One of my favourites. I can't deny this. This is one of my favourites. It's just a good fun. I can just imagine Shatner, Nimoy, and Michelle Nichols in this role, these roles, and it would be fun just seeing them. But I think it's well done. What about yourself, guys? How's your feelings about this movie before we start chatting about it?
Well, this is the greatest homage to the fan community that has ever been produced. It respects the fans, regardless of where they come from. It respects the convention. It respects the fact that, yes, they do have a lot of following, and we get to see people starting to lose faith in that. And I do realize there are some actors out there that they took part quickly in a very famous thing, and they have lost faith in how much the audience really loved you. And I will give this as an example because I have never seen the lady that played Tasha Yar that got removed too quickly from TNG.
She didn't get removed. She quit because she got offered a role in a movie.
Exactly, there were different stuff there, but the fans have never, to my mind, just gone as like, oh, you were just like fifth level guy removed from the show because you were Richard. She actually got the proper send off, even within the mythology or the storyline.
Well, she supposedly quit because she didn't think her character was going anywhere, didn't she?
Yep. And she got an offer of a movie role. That was the one with Sigourney Weaver. It was a comedy. What was the one? Was it the one about Sigourney Weaver was an executive, broke her leg, and somebody had to step in, and Sigourney Weaver's character took all the credit, but Sigourney Weaver's husband was having an affair with the one that played Tasha Yar. So, and it was.
Oh, I did not know it to that level, but Tasha Yar, the actress name I forget.
Lee Crosby.
Oh, that's right.
Crosby, yes. She's still to these days, at the last time I met her, she was like, I got 6 episodes in Star Trek. I'm extremely humble and like happy that I got to take part of it.
6 episodes as Tasha Yar, but remember she got more as Tasha Yar's daughter, Romulan daughter.
Yeah, there were plenty of other offers that she managed to sneak in there, but I would have loved to have seen more of the Tasha Yar's role, her development, and I would have loved to see Michael Dorn, Worf, why he in the end became the actual, shall we say, head of security. So they had an amazing story arc going on there, and it's like, okay, we have to choose between one of these two. But because she removed herself, because there was other opportunities, he kind of like he's feeling like the failover rather than the okay, I had to prove myself. I am the best for this role. Hope that makes sense. But then again, that's outside of Galaxy Quest.
Bounce it back to Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it on track before we go.
You look at the characters in this, and the actors playing the characters. Basically, Balthazar. Yeah, I mean,
you mean Mathesar, not Balthazar. Balthazar is a cartoon comedy from like 1982, like children's cartoon.
I can't remember
Mathesar
that
is
one.
the name.
Yeah, I mean it's Enrico. What is it? Enrico calls something. Colantoni. Yeah, I mean, I think if I remember the DVD, the documentary, he basically wanted it, and he was the one that made up the whole Thermian, the way they talked, the way they walked, everything, as part of his audition. Especially the way they talked as part of his audition. They liked it that much. They basically built the rest of them around it. They had to take lessons on how to be Thermian based on Enrico Colantoni's character. Because you look at it, how well rounded that character was, and considering some of the other stuff he's been in, it's difficult to see the resemblance between any of his other characters and Mathesar. But it's the
But
same
they
idea
still
right across the
presented
board.
really well.
Because you look at the ones across the board, Tony Shalhoub, Sigourney Weaver, Tim Allen. Tim Allen, sort of, you expect a lot from him. However, the emotional scenes, yes, he played quite well. But things like Alan Rickman, and you could never have imagined Alan Rickman playing Lazarus or even Alexander Dane. You can't imagine them playing those characters, yet look how well they did. And Sigourney Weaver, Christ Almighty, is Gwen DeMarco.
Yeah, but well, I can't speak for a dead man, but I think this feels, based on his previous performances, if we would put it that way, Alan Rickman's part in this. And yes, by Grabtar's hammer, I will avenge thee.
Yeah, and Rosie's
but
right.
it
Almost
feels like
as the Princess Bride.
Yeah, Rosie, you are definitely spot on there, because there is so much going on. But if we just come to Alan Rickman's performance, everything he complains about in the makeup room, he still goes out and he really delivers.
Yeah.
But he delivers at the minimum quality that you would expect to come out of Alan Rickman.
Does anybody notice the one thing about Alan Rickman's character throughout this whole movie? He never once is seen in the whole movie without his prosthetic on.
Good point.
Not once.
It's a very good point, and I love it.
You see it all ripped to shreds, you see the hair coming out, but every scene he's in this movie, he's got it on. From the very first time you see him to the very last time, he's always got the prosthetic on. And considering, I mean, we're no real. You think you would have went and off, but he's always got it on every scene. And I think he did that deliberately, because he wanted people to see him as the character rather than Alan Rickman playing the character. He wanted people to see the character, so he always had the prosthetic on.
But it is one of my favorite parts of the whole film, among 100 other things that it does so well. But it is him sticking. It's like digging his nail into it. It's like, oh, this is who I am.
Hi, guys.
Hail, Sadako.
Yeah, it's just, but it's one of those. I don't know. If you look at you could pick a character, any one of the main characters, and I'm not talking about any of the aliens. I'm talking about the Protector cast characters, and every one of them's got something that happens throughout. You look at Gwen DeMarco.
You mean how much she loses armor as the story plot goes along?
Yes. Basically, she wanted to portray as when Sigourney Weaver got the option of the character, she wanted to be the blonde sex, sort of almost really the dumb part, which she played very well. Because even the fact is, I've got one job and I'm going to do it, but she does it so well, even within it. And then you think about that compared to a Star Trek communication officer, Nichelle Nichols. They obviously took Miss Nichelle Nichols' role of Uhura, but Uhura didn't do that. She didn't just repeat what the computer said, because the computer said something and then the other ones would answer to it, but they made it almost like a trope of that, as if that was her job to just say what
Which
the computer
is
said.
kind of part of what this film is all about. Nichelle Nichols, Uhura, took her job seriously. So yes, computer told her something, whatever it was, and
She didn't consult the computer. That was Spock.
Exactly, it was Spock.
But
And
it was
even at
Spock.
that-
It was different things. But when she needed to relay what she heard over the comms, she translated it really efficiently. So either Spock or Kirk could pick up and react to whatever it was. She managed to filter and translate it. And someone that did sig in the military training that I went through, that is crucial. You need to take a lot of nonsense, a lot of noise, and tell your commander or commanding officer the critical points. They then take a decision from what you have relayed to them. And she performed that role so well. And holy crap, we're talking, what is it, 1966?
Yeah. Well, you think about it. It's the fact that Galaxy Quest is taking the tropes of the early sci-fi movies, and they're obviously combining them in. But there's some tropes in there that are not actual tropes within the early sci-fi stuff, like the Gwen DeMarco. Just her character just repeated what the computer said, but there was never a character. Even Spock, it wasn't a character, because you would hear the computer saying something, and each of the characters would reply or talk to it or say something back. There was never one that actually they would say, "Could you ask the computer to do this? Computer, do this." That
Hang
kind
on,
of thing.
is Sigourney's character supposed to be a parody of the horror, or is she more supposed to be one of
I
Jenny's
actually
rat?
meant to be a parody of the early female communication officers. Uhura was just one of those.
No, not just the communication officers, because she's also got the action part of it. She has everything from the 1980s female action space commanders and everything. So
Yes,
it's a complete blend, but they do try to like narrow it down. Like, these are the Star Trek fan geeks. They know exactly what the audience is. This is the Star Trek fan geeks. This is what the film is made for.
Well, I mean, it
Oh,
seems to me to be like the Galaxy Quest show that they're based on. It seems like it's more of an 80s show. And it's the idea of what if the 1960s kind of Star Trek hadn't that style hadn't died out in the 80s. So it's almost a what if that carried on, and in a way, because like in the 1980s it was quite a nihilistic decade, and yet what we've got here is the idea of the reserved idea of the heroic, Captain Kirk type who just always never gives up, never gives in, and it's the kind of Star Trek optimism carried on.
Yeah, you also got the Wesley Crusher, Wesley Crusher combined with Will Robinson.
Yeah,
and
you
in
had
fact,
the Lady
combined with the character that Gary Cole played in.
What you talking about, Willis?
He played in Buck Rogers, where you've got that extremely young. You've got obviously a kid, an actual kid, not a teenager, an actual kid as your pilot.
Yeah,
and that was sort of that was Will Wesley Crusher taken to the level of Will Robinson.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They took the ideas of what people remember. which was never always true, because you look back and you rewatch them. Uhura was never one that actually got the computer said something. She told the captain what the computer just said. It was never Uhura's job, but it's that, I suppose, play on the thing that the female was. It was the dumb blonde and doing a job. In effect, they had to give her a job. It's that type of thing. That's what the Sigourney Weaver, because that's why she's wearing the blonde. She wanted to be the blonde sex signal, boobs out and stuff like that.
Do you think that was kind of a? I mean, it was like we had the kind of 1980s, and 1980s was quite a feminist decade, and it was almost like this was her saying, you know what, I miss the 60s. I miss being that, the dumb blonde for a bit.
Sigourney Weaver liked the character because it was playing with the sexy blonde trope and being in a position where, in effect, her job was just to repeat what somebody else said. So the typical actress, you say this, I say that. So the computer tells her, and she just repeats what the computer just said. Or somebody says, get the computer to do this, and she just says, computer, just do what he said. And it's that type of thing. The computer wouldn't listen, and they played that trope very well. But if you think about a lot of the Star Treks, Buck Rogers, Babylon, even just going back, even not too far, even into the 90s and stuff like that, just before this movie was made, there wasn't a lot where you could actually say, yes, she's a parody of that character. Because there's no really a character she's a parody of. You can see the William Shatner parody in James Nesbitt. You can see the Leonard Nimoy parody in Dr. Lazarus. Because remember, Leonard Nimoy hated Spock initially.
Yeah, because he wrote that book, didn't he?
Yeah. But he disliked the Spock because he was a more serious actor, and he couldn't get the roles because he was typecast effectively. And it was that aspect of it he didn't like about it, because it was only something he did for 3 years. So why was it taking over his life? And that's where the Dr. Lazarus, the character was. It was basically a parody of Spock. And then you've got, look at Tony Shalhoub. You can't actually say he's a parody of Scotty, because basically he's just a parody of a stoner in a park.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. I mean, it's weird. There's I'm binge watching two things at the moment, both of which I get things from Galaxy Quest. One of which is Monk.
Yeah.
Starring Tony Shalhoub.
Oh, yes.
I love Monk.
Yeah.
Monk was good.
And the other one is The West Wing. And there's an episode, I don't know if anybody remembers it, but there's an episode in The West Wing where the president, Martin Sheen, is, in some ways, he is almost literally channeling Kennedy when he's doing his go to the moon speech. But he's doing it, and he's his CJ, his press secretary. He keeps saying it's called Galaxy 5, which is the name of the probe to Mars. And he keeps saying, you're saying it wrong. And at the end of it, she says something, because he wants her to put some enthusiasm, some warm wonder into it. And I think that's that one bit there with when Quellek dies. And Alexander Dane finally says the line right. He actually says it like he means it.
Yeah.
Because he's got so fed up with using the catchphrase. The other thing is actually, I'll tell you what else.
By Graffar's hammer, by the sons of Warvan, you shall be avenged.
But the other thing actually, you saying that something that reminds me of, in several ways, also is episode 200 of Stargate.
Okay.
Yeah.
What one was 200?
200 was the 200th episode. Was the one where they had Marty and they were going through script ideas, and the writers and actors were obviously having a whole lot of fun. but their Star Trek skit. No, sorry, that was Galaxy Quest.
Yes, that was the one when she had actually talking about all the. There was also they did another one with Vala. She was telling her about all the things, and it was Farscape. It was
the best one was
Wizard of Oz.
The best when he does all that is he's going, okay, that's Wizard of Oz, and then she does Farscape. He does the guy, you got me undone on that one, which was an absolute dig at the fact that both she and Ben Brown have been in Farscape. Yeah. But the other thing is, of course, is that if anyone that doesn't remember it or isn't aware of it, the whole background for that story goes back 100 episodes. I think it was 100 episodes, where basically Marty, who's an alien, a human from another one, writes up his adventures, and he comes up with a TV show.
Marty was discovered before.
Exactly. He comes up
tribute episode.
Yeah,
but he makes it perfectly for this tribute episode.
Yeah, I mean, he comes up with this wormhole extreme TV, which is captured after 3 episodes, but apparently does well on DVDs. So it's about this TV show that's been cancelled.
Who were the two characters in it? Their father had already appeared in Stargate at this time. The DeLuise boys.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. But the thing is, when you get to 200, the whole thing, and what do they end up doing at the end of the episode? At the end of the episode, they get another series on TV, which then runs for 10 years. So again, I'm wondering how much of Galaxy Quest made its way into, or at least affected the writers for Stargate SG-1's 200s. Because again, you got similarities there.
Well, see, the thing is with what they normally do when they get to one, it's like that. They normally do a favourite episode. So they talk to the characters always have about, and they tell them a backstory part, and it's basically it's a remember. We're at 200. Remember all these
clip show?
Episodes? It's a clip show. Sometimes they do the clip show to save money, but sometimes it's because it's hit a 200 mark or 100 mark or whatever, and it's a case of remember this. This has been so many 100 episodes. Remember that one. Remember that one. Remember that one. Whereas I think that's what they did, but they did it differently. They were saying, see, instead of doing a clip show, why don't we take a piss take? And it's that aspect of it, and I think that's where that went. And truthfully, I would love to actually see an episode of Galaxy Quest. So,
one of the things that I found really ironic is that not long after the film came out, okay, and you have to remember the film is the only, there is nothing else. Galaxy Quest is only the film.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, online appeared scripts for the TV series Galaxy Quest.
Yep.
So
based on some of the clips they showed in the movie.
Either someone had completely and utterly missed the point, or they were taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
I think it was just a case of somebody
somebody
got it and actually just thought, it gives them the opportunity to write fan fiction within something. And it works because you think about it. They've been given a character. They've been given character tropes. They've been given a couple of scenes, and all they need to do is work those scenes in. They've been seen the things like the big space octopus type thing. They can write all them in as part of scenes, so you see clips, and it works.
Oh yeah, but I think it's again that's someone either didn't understand the irony of it or.
I think it's someone's just taking.
I think it's someone
fan fiction based on a fun movie. I think that's all it's been. Do you know the only part of this movie that annoyed me? Only one part, and it was. I understood why it was there, and I didn't mind it being used. But the only part that annoyed me was the Omega-13. because yes, the historical documents, they built the ship, they built all the controls, they built everything based on what they've seen on screen, and they're very advanced technologically, so they could build all that. But the Omega 13, how do
Yeah.
you build that?
Yeah, I'm not even going down that line. It is just like a plot device for me.
Of
But
course, it's a plot device.
I would
I
have
wish they
loved
hadn't
to have
mentioned it,
more
or else
explanation to it.
but I wish they hadn't mentioned it, because they were asking the Omega 13 sort of. It's the one that actually puts the kibosh in it. In the TV show, you can understand it within the script of the TV show, because they says, well, we don't know because we found it. So if they found it, how the hell could the Thermians design it? Because nobody knew what it was, nobody knew what it did. So how can you build? That's like me turning around and saying,
But you're only asking like the surface level question. Yes, they in the TV show they found this amazing device,
and they didn't know
minimal descriptions, and the Thermians managed to build and design it. And it's like, if you are that clever, then why the heck are you being harassed by this street
you understand why
that is the main villain?
But the fact is, it's not the fact that the Thermians built it, but the Thermians also didn't know what it did. That's like me turning around and saying, I want you to build a Quasark 4 here. How do you build something? It's based on just the basic description, and then at the end you still say, but we don't know what it does. So how the hell do you know what it is if you don't know what it does? So you're building a something that you don't know what it does. How can you build that?
Yeah, but to be fair,
that's my point to it. But go ahead.
I said the whole thing is actually it's all reversed, because you don't build because form follows function, function doesn't follow form. So the whole thing they've done is they've taken this and they've taken something which, depending upon how well written the series was, may or may not have and what had any science behind it, and created it anyway. So I think to a degree you've got to allow that in there, but it's definitely a plot device, Deus Ex Machina. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, what would have happened if the kid and his mates had been wrong, if everybody else had been right, and pushing that button had just destroyed everything?
Yeah, but it's the fact is that it's that aspect of it, right? They didn't know what it did, so they're building something they have no idea what it's meant to do, no idea of the concepts. However, the TV show is the thing that tells them what it does, and it's only based in theories because nobody knows.
Yeah,
but it's you could turn around and say, build me an engine for that spaceship on the TV, and they look at the TV and look how it does and think, yeah, we've got the technology, we can build spaceships, and yeah, we can make it look like that and act like that, no problem. So the technology of knowing that they have build me a spaceship, and so they know how to build the engine, know how to build the atmospheric controller, the missiles, the whatever, all that. So they can, from the TV, yes, because they know how spaceship works. But if you say build me a doodad that we don't know what it does, but there's theories in here, so it's going to have to do one of these two things, but we don't know what it does, and these are just theories because they weren't mentioned in the TV show. And it's that type of thing. How can you build something that you don't know? Build me a doodad, and then later on I'll tell you what it could possibly do. That was the only part of the movie that annoyed me, but it was just one of those things. I know why it was there, because they needed it as a MacGuffin, just to finish off the part where Shalhoub comes in and shoots them all.
I mean, the film is basically about it's just about look and improvisation, isn't it? That's kind of what wins out in the end. It's like they've never, they don't have they're not Captain Kirk. They're not, they're not really these characters, but they're placed in a position when they have to kind of improvise their way out of it.
Yeah.
Well, I think if I remember right, Talking Babylon 5, Peter Jurassic wrote or has his name on a book about an actor, about a similar story about an actor who basically plays about Peter Jurassic having to be Londo Malari. I mean, it's not, because obviously it's not Babylon, but it's a similar sort of thing. So a similar sort of thing about an actor. He actually plays if I remember right, the actor plays a diplomat on TV, and he gets in a situation where he has to pretend to be the real diplomat. So again, a similar story there.
Yeah, but the good thing is, I think the difference is this: is you imagine that in a less comical movie, it would be utterly ridiculous. But in a comedy, it can get a pass because it's meant to be fun. It's playing to stereotypes. It's playing to what would have happened if Kirk, Spock, and Uhura and Chekhov and all got dragged out, and their characters were just basically known for that. Didn't get anything else, and they were just doing the circuits, because that's effectively what the guy had originally wrote the thing. And they liked the idea, and they asked them if they could rewrite it, and they rewrote it and come up with a better script.
Well, I mean, in fact, there's actually another trope there that isn't immediately obvious. The whole thing is based on, and there's a trope of you sometimes seeing something about aliens, a hard science sort of trope, if you like, of aliens whose first interaction with us is, as it would be, our TV and radio. And the standard one is what they pick up is the Nazis.
Yeah.
So that trope as well is okay. So their whole interaction with us, they pick everything up they know about us from a TV show.
Have you seen the Strangerers? The ones that I haven't on my TV. I did the clips on the YouTube. The Strangerers. They're basically aliens. They're plant-based aliens, and they learned all about Earth and its customs based on 1930s movies. So it's basically they're talking about with the suits on, the double-breasted suit with a hat, and if they meet a female personage of the opposite gender, they have to tip their hat, because obviously they've learned their way around based on the fact that is watching old black and white movies.
Yeah.
The Strangers, what you call them, Williams.
I know
Mark Williams.
Mark Williams. Yeah. Sorry,
it's Mark Williams. It's got Mark Williams, Doherty, and what was the comedian who played? Oh God, he's the one that always in Have I Got News for You was always doing the weird. I can't even remember his name. It's disappeared from the tip of my tongue.
It wasn't Paul Merton. It wasn't Ian Hislop. It wasn't.
No.
Angus Deaton.
No, it's not. He basically used to do.
Okay, I'm going to watch it. It's got Paul Darrow in it. I'm going to watch it.
Right, Strangers, it's there. So let's have a look. It's
got Paul Darrow in it. So I'm going to download it and watch it.
Milton Jones. That's who I was meaning. Milton Jones. Right, you want to see?
God, it's got a cast, hasn't it?
You want to see one of the clips from it? Let's see.
So it's on. Wow. So it's got Paul Darrow in it. I'm going to watch it.
Strangers, it's called.
Yeah.
Right. The introduction. The very first. There's been a couple like Contact and stuff like that, but let's have a look at introduction. I need to actually get it started, but I'll pause it straight away. So I can drag it over to a different screen. Right. So this is the Strangers. And to me, similar idea to the Thermians. Right. And share the audible. Right, you ready? So here it's here.
Initial objective achieved. Now locomoting to location 1. Out. Procedure late. Cadet Finn, you are injuncted to use only Terran forms of communication from now until we are picked up by the mothership.
Supervisor, our landing was witnessed. We must abort the mission.
The shipboard mind radar ensures that we are only observed by low credibility individuals of minuscule intellect. In this way, we guarantee that the bulk of humankind dismiss reports of our presence here as falsification. Frontal language only.
Supervisor, I believe Cadet Niven has forgotten how to do the walk thing.
I thought you were fully schooled in humanesque perambulation, Cadet Niven.
Indeed, Supervisor, I graduated top of my class in Introduction to Walking and gained a commendation in walking briskly. Just give me a moment, it will all come back. Up, forward, down.
Don't help him.
Up, forward, down. Yes, that's it. Up, forward, down. Coming back. Up, forward, down. Now, it's the tricky bit. Up. Up. Other leg. Other leg. Right. Of course.
They look like they're not hobbits in the
Yes,
Lord of the Rings thing.
I mean that's what that reminded when I first saw it. Obviously, that was done a hell of a lot earlier than Galaxy Quest. But when I saw that after I saw Galaxy Quest, and that's what it reminds me of. It's just basically the way they walk, basically based on historical documents. Whereas later on they mention about how the way they learned it was seeing old movies that they picked up the signals, and it was basically 1930s movies because you can see the way they're dressed, the double-breasted suit, the hat, and there's a bit about a female personage. We can't down her, and they're trying to take their hat off, and they can't because they're handcuffed behind their back, and they're grabbing the hat for each other, trying to take it off. So. And stuff like that. It's just crazy. I love the Strangers. Basically, one season you've got things like Blake is in it. So he plays a cop. Gareth
Thomas.
Gareth Thomas. Yeah, he plays a cop in it. You've got Sarah, Samantha Sarah Alexander in it. You've just got. I ain't even got. Pardon? but you've got some. I think Stephen Fry appears in it at one point as well. I'm sure it's Stephen Fry, but it's just one of those things. It's fun, and I think it's just the way they've done it in such a clear way. So they have Gareth Thomas, you've got Milton Jones, Mark Heap, Paul Darrell, David Williams as well is in it. It's David Williams is in it. So, but it is fun, and I would definitely recommend if you get a chance, The Strangers. One of these days we're going to actually I'm going to recommend, and we're going to do a review of The Strangers because that's a right old one and it's fun. But anywho, it reminds me of Galaxy Quest because the same idea of the Thermians, the way they react is based on what they've seen on TV and movies. Like Gilligan's Island, oh, those poor people.
There's a Alexei Sales sketch that's similar to that, in which basically he talks about the way that the radio waves from BBC, he's on top of the BBC television centre with all the radio dishes. Yep. And he's speculating the idea of the radio waves from our planet reaching, further out into space, and how that would affect the culture on those planets that they're getting our TV. And and he kind of points to this planet where they're getting the Hancock's half-hour episodes, and so basically, you get these sources land, and you get a bunch of guys acting like Hancock. You know, this shortwave radio is the best 500 quid I've ever spent, whilst they're zapping like the local army kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's a fun premise, and I think The Strangers was one that I liked. Galaxy Quest is very similar to it, and what was the other one? No things like ET, because obviously you're getting the ones that there has been a couple of other movies, and I'm trying to remember. There was one about someone who'd come down, and it was a case of they had to acclimatize based on. Well, you had things like Earth Girls Are Easy, but it wasn't. It's no. They basically just looked at the TV when they arrived. It wasn't quite the same thing. But you had ones that had come based on what they had seen on TV. And it was basically based on the signals of 30, 40, 50 years ago. And it's just always fun. But I think they played it quite well in this, because the Thermians were just weird enough.
I mean, the only thing I would the only thing I would have to say that I think is that the only thing that I find slightly disconnect there is that, okay, fine, but this is what, 17 years after Galaxy Quest was on.
It was this is the 18th anniversary, so yeah.
So 18. So it's no more than 18 light years away.
Yeah.
So it's got massive.
It's the wormhole sort of.
So the thing is, they travel through the wormhole, but does that mean that but is that a generated wormhole, or is that a normal? And how come the radio signals got that far out? That's just a little thing that, if you think it through, you sort of go, But it's such a good film. It's another one of these things you just ignore.
Is the wormhole to Earth? Could be at the end of the solar system, so it's not even a light year away. It could be a light year away. It's not something that we would necessarily be able to pick up.
Yeah, well, the thing is, they send him through what seems to be a wormhole, but he ends up. But what they do is they send they transport.
Yeah,
thinking it through the wormhole. So, I would imagine that they can transport down to the planet from there, but I'm not. It's
no, they did. They transported them straight home.
Yeah,
because you see him standing next to Sigourney.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they send him through the wormhole. So it's something. It's one little thing that you go, okay. If you think about it too much, you sort of think, okay, how did that get there? But
yeah, and also they transported him back from the ship after the first time he fired on Sarris through the wormhole, because that was the bit when he opened his eyes. He thought he was still in a scene, screensaver too, and all that. He was doing that, and then they says thank you, and he's going, hey, wait a minute, and then suddenly they covered in the thing, and then the open gets fired, and he goes through the wormhole, and the next thing he's standing on in his property like that. So basically, after they fought Sarris and you're going too fast, we'll need to split. And why didn't you just actually teleport them down?
Yeah.
It's as soon as you start picking threads in it, it can literally unravel very, very much.
But
for instance, how are they going to explain the damage to all the parked cars, the car park outside, the building, and how many people get injured?
Yeah.
You can see, fair enough. The TV show said it was a publicity stunt, and they pay everybody off and pay for the new cars for people so they don't get annoyed and and just say it was a publicity stunt. But who's now got all that technology?
Yeah,
the laser, his plasma pistol.
Yeah,
his communicators. It can, yeah. I mean, it's basically as soon as you start picking at it, it
you are at the end. Yeah,
yeah. But it's the same idea. There is a couple of things, as we all know, there's certain things that you're going to go, that bit annoys me, but it doesn't stop it being a good movie.
well, it's
because you understand why they did it within the movie. However, it's the one thing that did. I know it sounds silly. The one thing to me didn't make sense, as if the rest of it made sense.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, so that's the one thing that makes sense to you, not the interstitial, not the it's winning suspension of disbelief, as they say, which you have to have
because
for most of these things.
as long as a movie sets rules, no problem. However, it's that one thing it sort of circumvents the rules because they built things based on what they saw on the TV. But you saw at the beginning the two-parter about the Omega-13, so you didn't get a resolution what happened to it, yet they built something that they still didn't know. Nobody knew about, not even the people who wrote it knew about because they never finished it. So how would the Thermians have found out about it? It's one of those ones. Pick. Where do you stop? But I still enjoy it. It's still a fun movie for me.
Well, I mean, in to a degree, the idea is that the TV series sparked a kind of scientific revolution, didn't it? It gave them hope. It gave them something to aspire to.
Yes.
In a very kind of, I mean, they were slavish in some ways. They had to be slavish to the spaceship design because that's what they thought was how a spaceship worked. But they kind of worked. Obviously, they must have worked around it to make it work.
Yeah, but basically they were technologically advanced. They just didn't know deception. So you could assume they're that advanced that they can see something. They know the basic premises, so they can build a ship. They know how to build spaceships, so they can build a spaceship that looks like that and acts like that based on the fact. So based on the fact is they're redesigning their society because that gave them hope. So they're building things to look and act like what they've seen on the historical documents. So I can understand that if they're that advanced that they know how to do all these things, then changing the design. It's like saying that we know how to build a house. Right now we know how to build a house. Can somebody go back and design a mud hut from 3,000 years ago? Yes, because we know the premises of how things work to build a house. Just because we've moved on from living in those type of huts, we still have the technology and understanding that we probably could go back and build it, even though we're beyond that. And that's to me what the Thermians are. They're so far advanced that they can build the things based on what they've seen because they have the understanding of how things work and do it. It's the only thing I couldn't accept within that was the thing that nobody knew what it did. So how can you build something that nobody knows what does? How do you build it to so you don't know what it does? So how did you test it? So you build it and go, right, that's it. You want to test it? Well, we don't know what it's going to do, so no. Well, what did you put in it? Well, we don't know because we don't know what it's going to do. Right, what's that button like rigged up to? Well, it's rigged up to the power supply. Right, what happens if you press a button? We don't know. So how the hell can you build something if you don't know what it does when you do this? Or that's what I was meaning. That was the only part within the world they built didn't make sense to me. But the rest of the stuff within their world building, yeah, I'm okay with that. With them building spaceships and teleports and stuff like that, because they're that advanced that it was easy for them to look at something and build it that way. And it was built so well that it could take all those missile strikes and the mines hitting them and everything. So, you see what I mean? So I can understand it within the world building. The only thing I couldn't get was the Omega-13, but it didn't ruin the movie because I understood why they put it in. To give a wee bit of suspense, and which we all knew as soon as they mentioned the two options: one, it goes back 13 minutes or 13 seconds, or it blows up the universe. Well, we know what it's going to do. It's going to go back 13 seconds because there's no way on Earth are ever going to go, boom, boom, the whole universe goes into the thing. End of movie. Really? Right. Faith, superb.
Well, I think that is a bit, like I said before, the chance and look thing. It's almost like it's kind of acknowledging that at some point, realistically, the look would run out, but it's kind of the Omega device gives them a kind of a second chance, and that's kind of what works. It's like it's
yeah, but it is one of those things. But as long as they set up rules, doesn't matter how ridiculous the rules within the movie, I'm okay with. It's only the same idea as when they break the rules. It's like, for instance, going back to Doctor Who, back to Doctor Who. Somebody says to me, it must have been about 5-10 years ago, those Daleks are rubbish. How can they build themselves if they've only got a plunger? And I went straight back and says, well, early ones, you saw them, they would drive up, they would go into their thing, their plunger arm would come off, they would move, and they would take one out with 2 grips. So to me, that expanded it. Then they can have something that's more intricate. So basically, they can expand on that, because you see them changing from one arm to another. So then they could change to more delicate arms to do things. So it basically gave me within my head that I understand how they could build other robots, because with a plunger it does nothing. Nowadays, they seem to the plunger can mold itself around things, and you're sitting there thinking, nah. However, if you give us, so within that, they've set out the fact is they can change their hand. So from a plunger to a gripper to a set, they can change their hand so it could be as delicate as you need. However, if they do that and then they turn around and then suddenly the Daleks can just their plunger can actually mold itself and do whatever it needs to do, and but pick up things and drop things and make things that's very delicate, that breaks the continuity of the world. And that's the parts that annoy me about things. You can be as ridiculous as you want, but as soon as you break that ridiculous rule, then it becomes, yeah.
Well, I mean, well, 2 things. First of all, in Genesis of the Daleks, at the end, like there's an automated Dalek production line which is activated, and that's at the point where hardly any of the Khalids are left. Like it's just Davros and his few loyalists. So it's like it suggests that what makes the Daleks is these automated robot production lines.
If anything broke, how could they fix it? So the fact that they swapped their arms out in the early Doctor Who, so it was a William Hartnell story. They've already set that these Daleks can go up to a thing, drop off their plunger, take it and get one. They only showed you one with a wee grip, so it could only pick up something. But that means that they can change it to be more delicate. So one with 5, then maybe one with 10. Things like that. One where we're being more delicate and doing whatever it needs to do, so they can swap the arms for all that. So if you've got an automated and something breaks, does that mean it's broken because they've only got plungers? No, because they've already set it up in the past that they can swap the arm out and do something else with it, so they could fix things. And so that's what I'm saying. So they've already set up the rule that things like that can be done. For me, it's set it up. However, if they actually never did it and then they just basically brought somebody in and then says to them, fix that or else we're going to shoot you. Well, I don't know anything about it. Bang. It doesn't make sense within that if they broke the rule like that when they have already said, we can fix it by doing this. It's just one of those things. There's every sci-fi, every movie that has got some type of sci-fi or fantasy or magic has to have rules. As soon as you break the rules, that's when you go then they say, you were okay with flying saucers, but you're no okay with that. Yeah, because in the rule you've said flying saucers exist. However, you've said that can't happen, but you just did it. So how you broke the rule, and it's that part we have issues with. It's not a case of we can have the most ridiculous thing out there, but as soon as they break the rules within that ridiculous story, that's the part we have issues with. Yeah, I mean, it's the same across anything. There's always going to be something that we enjoy. We're quite happy to have the suspension of disbelief, and then people say, but you're annoyed about that within this. Yeah. So the thing it broke, the thing it niggled for me was the Omega-13. But I understood why they did it. It just didn't make it any easier in there. But I'm a grumpy old bugger, so I'm okay with actually being a grumpy old bugger. So, what about you? Say anything else? Was anything in the story that you either really liked because of the way they did it and they did it so well, or something that just niggled at you and you thought, I wish they would take that out?
I love a bit where after the what Alexander turns around to the captain and says, "I see you got your shirt off again."
Yeah. Yeah, he kept rolling and stuff like that as well. It was hilarious. My favourite is when DeMarco sees all the chunk, chunk, chunk. She goes,
"Yeah,
oh." You know what I mean? And it, screw that. But that's not what she said. You can see it. If you look at it, she goes, oh.
Yeah. Well, again, that's another little bit in it. It's a great little dig at, or not a dig, but all these things you have, because the only real reason they exist is not for technical reasons, but they exist there to have a dramatic bit of the story. You know, why would you have this in the ship? You know.
Yeah, and exactly, it's the same across the board. As she said, as the right of this bit is going to get killed.
Yeah.
Because why would you have silly, chompy, grindy things in a place you need to get? You would need to walk down at some point. It's fair enough if it was the engine room and it was the engine going, and it was all things flying, spinning around, and it has to be switched off if they're doing any repairs in it because they need to get along it. Fair enough, but not just a corridor with these things on chomp, chomp, crash, and clonk. And you're sitting there thinking, yeah.
I just find Sam Rockwell's character, Guy.
Aye. What's my name? Do I have a nickname? You don't know.
It was just a simple red shirt.
It's even the part when they actually all get zoom, zoom, and then you've got Tech Sergeant Shen, and he's going, cool. And then they basically, everybody all right? And he just goes, ah! And you see basically Sigourney Weaver go. When he jumped, it was so well done because I knew one of them was going to scream the very first time I saw it, and I thought it would have been Laredo who screamed, but it was it was extra number 6.
And he gets promoted at the end to
security chief.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it was nicely done. Even the Jane Doe as they basically introduced her, put her actual real name as her character name, and then gave her a fake name, Jane Doe.
I just find it funny is where Fred's like getting it on with her, and Sam Rockwell's just standing there, and then he hits oh no!
Yeah, I really used to. That's not good. That's not right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the good thing. There's so many bits in it that are funny individually.
The one thing I've got to say, the one person who stands out in this film is Justin Long's character, Brandon, playing that.
Yeah.
You know, the sci-fi.
It was one of his early ones, wasn't it?
It was his first film.
It was his first film.
Yeah.
It was one of his early acting roles.
Yeah.
Because I know it was his first film, but I'm trying to remember if his first acting role. Let's see, I've got him up here.
It's
no idea who the guy even is.
1999. This is his first acting role, Galaxy Quest. So it was his first acting role completely. And he went from there to Jeepers Creepers 2, Dodgeball. Yeah, I remember him in Dodgeball.
Live Free, Die Hard, Alvin and the Chipmunks. He was the voice of Alvin.
Yeah, that 70s show, I knew he was in that. King of the Hill, Die Hard 4.
By the way you portrayed that character, Brandon, he was trying to portray as like what most typical fans were back in that day. You know, asking questions and everything, you know. And
I think it worked because his character was more of an Uber fan.
Yeah.
Rather than a standard fan, because a lot of fans would ask them questions, like you see the ones asking, going, in this episode, they used to seem to have a wee bit in it, yes, and all that. It's fans asking questions, but knowing fine well that is it just because you two fancied each other, or not within the show they were writing it because the show's real, whereas they seem to be the Uber fans that, well, we think it's actually real, they're just using the show to try and introduce us, because I've came across people who think Stargate is actually just introducing that is the wormhole extreme, because there is a Stargate. Using this to actually hide it. So I think it happens because there's always been in the past. There's always been known as the Stargate and stuff like that. But I people believe that, and that's why the Brandon character reminds me of that.
Well, a few years ago now, I did a number of these online American 101 courses, purely for interest. One of them was conspiracy theories. Quite interesting.
I love conspiracy theories.
The course was interesting because you look into them, you know, not just but how they come about, but in the end, they come up in the end. What you had at the end bit, I say it was only what's audited called, you know, no. Well, you got a certificate, it doesn't mean it, you know, 3 certificates. It was an interest course, but you had to come up with your own conspiracy theory, and I came up with. I think all these sci-fi alien shows are actually conspiracy. I mean, I don't believe this, but my conspiracy theory for the course was all these types of stuff. They're actually just getting us ready for aliens.
Yeah. See, the thing is,
I've always thought.
I like a good conspiracy theory myself. I do enjoy listening to them and watching them.
I've always thought though that if they ever do land on the White House lawn or whatever, if we ever do make contact, it's assuming we haven't at Area 51 and all that stuff, I think sci-fi fans are either going to be the most accepting or the most skeptical.
Good point.
We're either going to be, because I mean this is why I find it really dumb when people start using the racism word for sci-fi fans. So hold on a second. You are talking about a group of people who can quite happily accept green-skinned orcs or Orions, Vulcans, who can accept Vorlons and all this sort of shit, and you're thinking, you know, sort of, and then you say, okay, well, we can't accept people who've got different, you know. No, sorry, I mean, if you're people who are the sort of sci-fi fans who are going to accept these things, they're the sort of ones that are going to accept. Okay, wow, cool. That's one thing gets me. And I think it's, you know, if you can accept, if you're willing to accept the idea, I'm excited by the idea of actual aliens. So it's a little bit different. You because their ancestors came from a different fucking latitude ain't going to make a lot of difference.
But the thing is, I like a good conspiracy theory because as good as well as the next one. Basically, I love ancient alien stuff. I like listening to it. Do I believe most of it?
I'm not saying it was aliens, but
I mean, basically a lot of it. Yeah, and it's like I find it entertaining to look at and dig into and see where people get the ideas and understand where they see why they get the ideas. And 99% of them I don't believe in. There's one or two I do believe in, but there's other ones that I can understand why somebody believes because there's certain parts seem understandable to them. I mean, the flat earth stuff, I watched that and it's hilarious as well.
Oh god.
But it's the fact is when they try and explain it to you, you can understand why they do it, but you don't understand based on the fact is you can actually see from anywhere. Basically, there's pictures from the moon and stuff like that. But oh no, they're fake, and it's that
every other body we can see is round.
Yeah. So you just because you can't see it's round, and they say, "Well, look, I've got a sponge and a circular sponge, and if I spin it, the water flies off." Yeah, but if you spun it when you're in a 0G environment, it wouldn't work the same way.
Now spin it slow. Okay, how many times is it going round on its axis? Now turn it around on its axis in one day, then see what happens. I mean, this is what it's one of the things that pisses me off about that pisses me off about the idea of. I mean, as a history buff, I have an absolute hatred of people who think our ancestors were stupid. No, they were just less well educated. They were just less well educated, as in they had less knowledge than we do.
I wouldn't say less well educated. For the time, they were well educated.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. As in, you know.
Yeah, but
less back
are you more intelligent than your father or grandfather? No, you know more about modern stuff. Yeah.
The favourite stupid one that the crew of Columbus's ship nearly mutinied because they were afraid they were going to fall off the edge of the world. No, they fucking weren't. 2,000 years before bloody Columbus was even born, a Greek called Eratosthenes had worked out not only that the world was round, but he'd worked out roughly what the size it was, and he was about 5% out.
Yeah.
And basically, but that's the thing. I do. We need to do a stream on all this conspiracy theories, flat Earth, aliens, ancient aliens, UFOs. I love that. See the one that Neurotic and Doomcock used to do. I used to love that, and then they stopped because obviously what happened on the channel. I wish they would go back to doing it because I enjoy listening to good conspiracy buffs actually chatting about it. But we won't do that in the past. We'll go back to Galaxy Quest because that's a stream and a half. That
the one thing I do find interesting is that the Furmans, I can't pronounce their name properly, were going to that convention, and the cast just thinks they're just another lot of fans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now imagine that you had aliens who was going around Comic Cons today.
Yeah.
You don't know they're actually aliens.
Paul's
a good point. Yeah.
Paul basically was dressed as like when people are going, and then or E.T. Halloween.
Yeah.
It was a way to take him out because people were dressed up. So if somebody looked dressed up and it looked a bit weird, because then people still went, that's fine. But yeah, you imagine going to a Comic-Con, you're dressed up as an alien with a mask on, and then you're standing next to somebody who's dressed up as Doctor Who, somebody next to him dressed up as Kirk, somebody next to them dressed up as someone from Resident Evil, somebody next to them standing up as the Punisher, somebody next to them. Yeah. I mean, it could go on and on. How many of them are aliens?
There's another thing I really liked about that is that they took it, and in fact, they may possibly be seen. I mean, we didn't see enough alien races to make it definitive, but that neither neither of the races were humanoid. We had one reptilian race, which was obviously limited to human because it had to be humans in costumes. But I really wish I could know where it comes. There's a saying which is the most unlikely thing about little green men is not that they're little, it's not that they're green, it's that they're men.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
of geographic, historical, and evolutionary processes led to.
And the reason they say it's going to be little green men, and it's basically their similar body shapes. They're saying things like, look at Madagascar and Australia, the animals that basically evolved there are very similar to animals evolved other places, and there was no contact between the two. But was there because they had Pangea, so the original started with the original stock?
Yes, there was there was contact early on in the genetic and evolutionary selling tree morphs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There was Pangea, so there was a one landmass and it broke up. So there was the original stock. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that is there any particular? I mean, even here you look, we've got life that is quadrupedal, four-limbed. You've got life forms that are. I mean, even us, we're quadrupedal. It's just that one pair of our legs actually became arms.
Yeah.
You've got
arachnids.
You've got insects, which is six-limbed.
Yeah.
So even within we've got those three. So I mean, the counter theory to that, I must admit, which is quite a valid one, I think, is that it's a very, very good generalist design, to use a phrase that some people would jump on, because the head at the top gives all the eyes at the top give you good long range. All the sensory organs at the highest point of the body give you the best range. The brain being as close as possible to the sensory organs gives you the shortest reaction time. The design of our hands and arms and that gives us really good general mobility. So I can understand that, but so what I like about that is that they've got the aliens. Neither of the alien races are humanoid. Well, are human, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they in that film, the film had to, use a projection unit.
Oh yeah, they had to.
Yeah.
What I'm saying
otherwise, Tim Allen's character, Jason Nesmith, if you saw it, he'll probably go, "Oh, nice costume," and that's it.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's what I like about it. Is they had to do that, but then the main characters weren't in any way, shape, or form humanoid.
I know.
Yeah.
And I've got to say,
I love the introduction of them, and she going, she never say much. Yeah, translator units broken.
Yeah.
It was just so well done. Basically, you're sitting there, you would expect her in any other movie, she would just sit there and go, and then the other person would say, she was just saying this and saying that, but she didn't. They basically just sit there and they says, translation units broken, and she just turned and going, and I was pushing myself when I
come to think of it, I wonder if if it was a Thermian related race that the native Finnian voice was an alien. Yes.
Yeah.
The octopus.
I just found it funny that Tim Allen's just woken up from a hangover. He still hasn't got. He just walks in and he thinks he's still on the set, and then just gets that point where he's about to leave, and then finds out, oh God, it is all for real.
Yeah. If you think about it, he's turning around and going and saying, this is really good. Normally I walk in and it's just cardboard painted.
Yeah.
It's really well done. It's basically the sets are really done. Screensaver number 2 gets a bit of big, and you're sitting there thinking, because even if he thought it was real, his mind would be going, it can't be real. It can't be real. And that's the thing, it can't be real. Oh, fuck, it's real. And it's that type of thing. So, but even if you think about it and he's walking around in this big set. And even in his own mind, he's saying, well, we just come out of there and we've walked in there, we've done that, they've got the big room, they've got the screen, and they've done really well to build that set. And then is it down this way? So he sees a big corridor and he goes, no, it's this way. And you're sitting there thinking, his head must have been going, this is a really, really good set. It looks almost 100% real. Nah, it can't be. It must be just if I walk down that way, there would be a screen and it would touch it and it would just look as if it goes into the distance because he works in the thing. That's what it does. It's just meant to look real, but as soon as you touch it, you wouldn't see it as real. So he's looking around thinking, this has to be fake. Of course it's fake. Don't be silly.
Yeah.
When his mind can't actually say it's fake anymore. But so what was your favourite parts of this? One favourite part. Who wants to go first?
Jim Sadako.
I don't know if it's I've got a favorite part, but I do like the way that it is a kind of. I mean, every time I've watched it, it's kind of improved for me. Like you enjoy it more and more the more you see it. I feel.
Mm-hmm. And, definitely, yeah. Especially when you've been to a Comic-Con or two.
Yeah.
After you've been to a Comic-Con or two, it does actually improve a bit with that because you see, when you look out into his audience, you think, I've been in an audience like that.
Yeah, because it's like it's frivolous, and at first there's the temptation to think, it's fun fluff, but then you kind of, the more you watch it, the more you realise there is a bit more heart to it. And I feel like that's what kind of and I like the idea of it's kind of in a tragic way. It's about the idea that there are people who take things very literally, and they are vulnerable.
Yeah,
and it's like they need heroes almost. I like the fact that it's about the idea of why we look to heroes of old, or the classic. Star Trek heroes.
Yeah, I think it's a case of people in general need something to focus on, because if you focus on good, you're going to always see the good. But if you focus on the negative or bad, you're going to see the negative or bad all the time. And I think people who some people focus on historical reenactment. Some people focus on
Lego building.
Some people focus on Lego building. Some people focus on website building. And some people focus on work. None of us do, but you know what I mean? We've all got something we focus on, which is a positive: family, friends, work, interest, something.
Yeah.
We all have. But if you think about it, if you focus on negative, where are you going? It's a downhill.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. You focus on a hero. You focused on a hero. You're focusing on what the good to do. And you think about it, when you look back on memories, 99% of the time you focus on happy memories. Even if something happened at the same time that was not very nice, you usually ignore it and just remember the good parts of it. You either remember the good parts or you remember the really bad parts. And if you focus on the good parts, the bad parts are in the past, you can forget about them.
And the question I want to bring up is that the difference of the fandom that was portrayed in that movie to what the fans are like today.
Yeah.
There is a majority difference.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see one, I don't know, one fan complained about it, but I know you had those two guys that were in the bathroom.
They weren't actually fans, they were just guys talking about look at all these losers.
I know.
They were what you class as normies.
I know. But now look at it today with frankly, I think we're all been spoilt with most content that's being produced in this day and age compared to what we had in the past. That's only my own opinion.
I would actually rearrange those words, and I would think most things today has been spoiled.
You could put it that way, yes. But I'm talking about the normies in a way.
Sorry, you go, mate.
Yeah. However, it's just with this film, it just goes to show that yes, they are very true fans, and this has created its own fandom.
Yeah.
Well, I think, yeah, it has definitely.
Yeah, it's because you've got Galaxy Quest fans.
Yeah. I mean,
And another thing is, the Orville owes a lot to this, and that's what I
Yes, definitely. I mean, I was definitely thinking, okay, that's more like the Orville than Star Trek.
Yeah.
But then again, hold on a second, no, the Orville came afterwards.
Yeah, I think the Orville got its idea from that.
Well, didn't Seth MacFarlane originally actually want the Orville? Wasn't he Orville originally envisioned to be an actual Star Trek series? And I just wouldn't let him, so he went ahead and made something way better, despite his whatever his principal
He wanted because he wanted to do it as a parody.
Yeah, but I thought
the
I saw some of the
Star Trek, so he wanted to be in the Star Trek universe.
He was in the Star Trek. He was in the episode of Enterprise.
Aye, you know what I mean. But he wanted the Orville to be in the Star Trek universe.
Yeah, I mean,
so you still had the Orville, but it was a Starfleet ship.
It was an NCC. Yeah, absolutely. And it
So that's what they originally had wanted, and they was told, no, you're not making a parody within our thing because we don't want to ruin it.
And then they gave birth to that cartoon.
Oh God!
So we don't want to ruin it. Okay, so for too long, entertaining seasons, the only real Star Trek on TV was the parody.
Yep.
You did such a great job there, Clutson, didn't you?
Season it basically went the way of everybody else.
Yeah, I must admit, I need to go back to it. I haven't watched the rest of it yet.
I've not. I literally have stopped. I'd not even actually. I saw I was on Anti-Derivative Jill's. I was in her chat, and she was talking about it. And I must admit, even hearing about it, I'm just glad I never watched it. So I've literally stopped watching it. It's basically, if I get another, I've got season 1 sitting in my shelves. I will pick up season 2 from a charity shop, but I ain't touching season 3 no matter. Even if somebody hands me it, it will just sit in my shelf unopened, unused.
Yeah, I must. As I said, I'm on 1 and 2. I think part of it, actually, oddly enough, I think it's now, perhaps in some ways, I saw someone suggest that actually part of the problem is it's now about 10-15 minutes longer.
Could be
just that.
The thing is, they try and make it interesting, and I have got even the Tale of Two Topas, I thought was that was the first one that actually it ground my teeth. However, I was aware it had a very good feel-good ending, and the girl who played Topa was absolutely excellent.
She was, yes, definitely.
However, just because it's got a feel-good ending, and it is designed to have a feel-good ending, so you feel, man, that was a good story. However, the premise of the story, the one parts of the story, it just ground my teeth. So it doesn't matter how good those 2 parts were, the rest of the story ruined it. Then the next week, I just went, that's it, I'm out. No more. Not watching it again.
The experiment I really wish we could do is take the Orville in particular.
No, you cannot do Star Trek, leaving the wreckage of the franchise to the professional.
I'd love to be able to take the Orville, all 3 seasons of the Orville, maybe some of the other stuff as well. Go back in time 10 years and watch it then, without knowledge of what the next 10 years is going to bring. So if we could send it back in time 10 years, or send it to an alternate universe where the woke crap never happened, and say, okay, if you look at that without all the crap that we can't help but saying, Is it? Are you still going to get those messages you get? Because I noticed this. I was when couple of times in a couple of scenes on the rabbi scene in particular, seeing these things, I'm thinking. I'm talking to you as well. I'm thinking, I could, actually, I can see why you would get that, but I can also see why you might see it a different way.
Mm-hmm.
We can't help it. We're viewing everything through the lens of the current shit. We expect everything to be shit because everything recently has been.
Well, the one in the Tale of Two Topers, it was nothing to do. People said it was a transition story. People say it was a detransition story. Truthfully, didn't care either way. That made zero difference. It was the fact is they had a external character talking to the two parents, and because they agreed with one of the parents, they effectively blocked out the other parent as if they had
I agree.
The part it was. So it's nothing to do with the SJW part of it. It was the interference in the family. And I think even 10, 15, 20 years ago, that would have pissed me off.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is I'd like to be able to see it, but from the eyes of 10 years ago.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think even 10 years ago, that part would have pissed me off. The other part would have actually just went over the same, I think. That was an interesting premise. And the girl was she's a bloody great actress. However, it was that one part that just got me. And then the next week we did the interest in time travel.
And
then they turns around and goes, we actually, apart from messing up the timeline, because you can't actually not send the Sammys back, because if you don't send the Sammys back, because we picked up 10 seconds in the past, it'll create another timeline. It's a no. And then what did they do? Created another timeline at the end deliberately because they knew when they went back. However, what I'm saying, what the part was, it got me, was they said to him, yeah, you got married, you had a kid, and you had another one on the way, but we stopped it. And he goes, oh, thank you. How that would have ruined my life. So we basically killed 2 kids. You want a drink, have a celebrate? No problem. I'm happy with that. Right off. That was it. Basically, it was the party attitude at the end of it. It's, even though people are saying, but they deliberately created the timeline split so they survive, so they'll probably turn up again. I don't care. It was the fact is they deliberately did it in their partying because you're not going to be a father of 2 because we killed them, and that's the part.
I can't even, in fact, thinking about it. I'm wondering if that's them actually trying to do City on the Edge of Forever. And failing appallingly.
I think they actually did a deliberate split timeline. Because City on the Edge of Forever, they went back and had to rectify because the timeline to put it back on track. Because otherwise it's had a split timeline.
Well,
the ones they were there,
I'm just wondering.
There's no ships around, so they're on a split timeline, or else, so they had to go back and fix it.
I'm not sure the details. I'm just thinking if that was there.
No, but I think there's no way. They might bring them back and think, oh, we screwed up, so we'll need to go back to tell us not to actually pick him up a month after they crashed. We need to wait until he sent the signal that brought us here, so we need to wait another 6 months so we pick him up after he sent the signal. And that will repair the timeline, and the kids will definitely be dead now. But it's the fact is that was the part that pissed me off. Hey, we just killed 2 kids. Let's have a party. No problem. What do you think? See, when I first saw this episode, I thought they were going down the route. I hadn't read about it because I basically don't pick up a newspaper or read anything unless it's been reported on Twitter or YouTube and somebody said, I've heard a rumour this is happening, which is very rare. I even listen to them. I thought maybe the guy who played Gordon was leaving.
Yeah.
And this was a way of him leaving. And then when they said we're going back and we're thinking, and then they picked him up and they were saying, we'll tell you later what happened. I'm glad you picked me up. The idea of being there. And then them sitting down telling him. And then he leaves so pissed off. What do you mean you killed my children? You did this, did that type of thing. So he could have still been angry and left. So they could have had he's left. They've left him in the past because he must have already been in the past because we've seen his stuff, and the only reason we saw it is because we were looking for it. But because we weren't looking for it, nobody noticed it beforehand. Because who looks for their name in historical databases to see if that they've went back in time?
Well, in fact, it's a classic paradox, because in order for them
to know that, they would have had
in
to go
order
back.
for them to have known where he was, go back and pick him up, they had to have seen the records of him being there. So therefore, when they go, oh, did he? Oh, okay.
He sent us. He'd been there for 6 months. He sent a signal, and it took X amount of years to get to them in the nebula. That's when they knew, and that's when they started looking at the historical database, and then they found him.
Okay.
And then when they went back, they were 10 years late. So had been there for 10 years, had a family, because he thought, I need to live it out. So we're social creatures, we'll do it. So I thought that was the way they were going to leave him, because he was already in the past, because we saw the historical stuff that he died at 96 in the past. So obviously what happened has not changed anything, because he was already in the past according to our history, and nothing, and it's right.
Yeah, so the interesting.
And then when they did that, went back, they says they went back and picked him up a month after they left, which means 5 months before they sent the signal that they got to go back and get him. So they created the split timeline, which they says they can't do that because it will create a split timeline. So they did it deliberately to create it. But then they told him, I thought they were going to say, we've done that, and he gets annoyed and says, I cannot with you because of what you did to my children. Even though I don't know them, it's the way I feel about kids and
yeah.
And I thought he would have left. And then it could have given the option to come back to maybe get a bit of revenge on them for doing something like that, or try to get access to the time to go back without them knowing, to pick up where they left off. You see what I mean? I thought that's what they were going to do, but then it was a case of, no, you did that. Oh, I'm really glad I would have ruined my life. Really?
Yeah.
Your two kids, you were happy and everything, but your two kids were around your life, you're happy that they killed them. No problem. And that's when I just went, I ain't watching this shite again because it's crap. Whereas Galaxy Quest, I watch over and over again because it was like that.
I mean,
you had strong male characters, strong female characters.
I just point out, PJ, I think what you mean is that it's almost like there's Seth MacFarlane was, for much of it, he was paying homage to Star Trek, but that was a Seth MacFarlane thing. That was almost something from Family Guy, and it felt wrong for the tone.
Yes.
And Galaxy Quest, you would say maybe Galaxy Quest doesn't have that nasty humor kind of thing?
It doesn't have the nasty humor. It has, because you look at the one part where James Nesbitt got annoyed, and that was after he'd been to the bathroom and those two guys were saying, everybody's laughing at him, and he got annoyed and he would just sign and then he shouted at the Brandon and his friends, and even they were all sitting there going, he's never been like that with the fans. Something's wrong, because he's never been like that with the fans. So even the one pit where it was nasty, even the people who were laughing at him and getting annoyed with him are turning and going, but he's never like that with the fans. He's always great with the fans, so something must be wrong. So it was basically out of character for him. So it wasn't nasty, even though the one part he was a bit nasty to his fans. Even the people who don't like him were saying, that's not him. There's something wrong. So it showed that nastiness didn't come naturally to him. And that, to me, is the good aspect of it. You've got someone who is naturally good with people, who snaps, and then he's got a redemption arc with them. Basically, thank you for saving us type thing. So it has a redemption arc because he felt as if he was a bit too much with the kids once he realised what he'd done. You know what I mean? So I don't see the Galaxy Quest as nasty, whereas I saw the Orville is nasty in the last two I saw, and I haven't watched the last two, and I have no intention of watching them. I've seen some of the reviews for them, and I'm glad I've not seen them.
Now, I just want to mention one thing. Are you glad this is like a one-off film?
Yes.
No
Yes,
sequels,
definitely.
not to
I don't want them to do a follow-up. Do not want
I
to.
would have liked a sequel to this. I would have liked this to see where this went. Maybe.
See, I can't see how they would have been able to do a sequel with it, except maybe another alien group and the Thermians need them again. That's when it starts because that finished at a good bit, that they all got their career back, reliving what they did. Then what? How do you do a follow-up to that? Except taking them all back into the Thermians, come back and do it again. Basically the exact same again. So it's just a rehash of what they've done. But it's a bit less because they know what they're getting into this time. That's the only difference.
I mean, remember we talked about Red Dwarf Back to Earth, and we talked about
Yes.
like the fact we didn't get series 8 and 9 and 10 of Red Dwarf, and it was almost like we were showing hints of a series that, if only they'd made that next, that would have been a great payoff. And I feel, what if they'd done a show? What if they'd actually made a show like Galaxy Quest? Well, actually made a show based on what Galaxy Quest would have been. Like it would have been in the 90s.
That
but
I would have liked to see basically
Yeah.
a movie based on Galaxy Quest. So yes, having them playing their characters in so they created a Galaxy Quest show and actually have them playing the characters.
Yeah.
And the movie was about it called Galaxy Quest, or what was it? It wasn't called Galaxy Quest. The show, it was the Protector.
Yeah.
It was the NCC Protector. That was the name of the show, wasn't it? And Galaxy Quest. So if they had, they basically had Galaxy Quest 2, and it's actually the show, and it's a movie with them.
It's the movie of the show. Yeah.
Yes, and I would like to have seen that. So basically, they're taking you, getting you in, and then they basically show you the show they just made, and they're actually playing their character. They're playing the Dr. Lazarus, Nesmith, and I mean, I think that would have been a fun.
Yeah, you do
the expectations, because you're going to expect them to play the Tim Allen playing Quincy Taggart and playing James Nesmith. I would prefer them to come in and it's just James Nesmith.
You do that, and you do the credit titles, not starring Tim Allen, starring Jason Nesbitt, starring Alexander Dane, and all the rest of it. So not even doing the real names of the actors.
Yes, exactly, and then doing it from there, and then at the end you can have the played by and I think that would have been a good, and it would have basically bowled people over, because that is a twisting of the expectations, because you would have gone in expecting similar idea, but suddenly they're actually all playing their character. They're actually playing. So he's Kirk, he's Spock, and it's that they're basically playing it straight as if the movie. So it's not comedy anymore. It's a straight sci-fi movie. People have come out going, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah,
that would have been fun. And I would have liked to have seen that. That would have been.
You can almost imagine that, absent Alan Rickman's sad passing. You can almost imagine the series of Galaxy Quest movies.
Yeah,
Galaxy Quest, the series movies, rather than Galaxy Quest, the homage.
And that's when the franchise would have really taken off.
Yes, I think so. If they did it like that, even a TV show, new cast.
Oh well, yeah,
they could do the Protector, TNG.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think unfortunately without Alan Rickman, you can't do it.
I know, but they could have done a TNG version of it as a TV show, because it's
Galaxy Quest years or something.
The next generation. So you could basically have, like they did in TNG, you've got McCoy comes in and say, "Oh, Doctor, I'm still using them," and all that. And then you have Scotty coming in as he's in a transport. He's been there for 20 years, or 100 years, and did that type of thing. And it's a case of you introduce the older characters just here and there.
You have a half human, half Thermian character. Will be to take over. Maybe from
they may take Sergeant Chen and Jane Doe,
or take over from Lazarus.
But that's what I'm saying. You could have.
You could.
it could just be fun. The idea of that, I actually like that idea. That sounds really fun. Going in, watch it, you get in saying, Tim Allen, that's doing another movie, and then you go in and it's actually Galaxy. It's the NCC Protector. You're watching, and you're going. I was expecting a comedy, but it's basic sci-fi and
I mean, it would.
up-to-date graphics and everything.
Yeah,
CGI.
I think you probably need to be reasonably light rather than too heavy a sci-fi. But then again, it's a slow sci-fi show. Have the light
into that. You're playing into the classic Star Trek or the classic NCC Protector, so you're not getting into nitty-gritty dark sci-fi. You're playing the light type that you used to see. Because it's set in the 90s still, so you can still play it up with the bright colours and the over-optimistic stuff. You just use better CGI. Sort of like the Orville, but less like the Orville season 1, but less funny or humorous, should I say, not funny, with less humour in it.
All I'm going to say is that I'm glad this film wasn't made today.
Oh, God, no. It would be dire if it was made today.
Yes.
Because they wouldn't have got away with some of the stuff. You look at the DeMarco. It was hanging out. And that was Sigourney Weaver. She wanted to play that type of character because she never got a chance to play that type of sex goddess character where all the fans love her and she gets her chance to get her boobs out. Well, you know what I mean, in her bra, but you know what I mean. She basically flash her cleavage. She wanted to do that because she never got the chance to do that in all her movies.
She was just more typecast as Ripley back then.
Mm-hmm. Well, that one, the comedy, you did see her stoating about in a camisole top at one point. So Sigourney Weaver is a very sexy woman, so I can't actually say too much.
Well, the problem is, these days that if she wasn't the captain would be a complete buffoon, and she'd be the one that was actually leading him by the nose and telling him what to do.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what bounced me there. I basically had a glitch in my network. It just went doink, and I had to restart. Honest God, who bounced me? It's terrible. It's my fault. I can guarantee it was my fault. So, what we're going to do is start at finishing.
Yep.
So, what score would you give this out of 10?
Who would like to go first?
I'd say an 8 or 9. It depends. I mean, I might rewatch it again and go up to a 9 because this is one of those shows that, can.
It gets better with age.
Yeah, it does. It does. It was kind of made at the right time. It kind of still has an appeal now, I think.
Yeah. I quite agree. I would say a 9, I must admit, because there's just that one wee glitch and it annoys me, but it doesn't ruin it. And I think, as you said, the more you watch it, the more fun it becomes. So it is. I would say a 9.
There was a I mentioned it at the beginning of the one of the documentaries that there was a film director or a writer who came movies. One was The Godfather. I can't remember what the second one was. The third one I've never heard of, and the fourth one was Galaxy Quest. Don't necessarily go for that far, but I think I'd definitely be on the high 8 to 9 for this as well, because it's not only is it a good science fiction story on its own, it also nicely pays homage to the word is not toxic. The word you're looking for, you more want, is passionate fans.
Yeah.
The people that get called toxic. No, they're not toxic. They're knowledgeable, passionate. Unfortunately, but and it's So yeah, as I said, I mean, high 8s to 9, depending on how you're looking at it.
Yeah. Good.
I would give it a 9 also. I can't really say anything else. Jim, are you there?
Jim, you better not falling asleep again.
He's been very quiet.
Maybe the Swedish sweets have knocked him out.
Yeah.
No, maybe they've stunk him out the house. He did say.
Well, it looks like we'll go 8s, 9s across the board. I'm actually trying to find that movie Sigourney Weaver was in. I think it was Working Girl, but I'm trying to find if Denise Crosby was in that one.
I couldn't see one recently on Denise Crosby's IMDb page, but I only went for sort of a couple above the first bit of Next Gen.
She was in Bristol County Junior. So she was before Star. Well, actually, she was. It wasn't before it. It was actually near the end of her run of TNG. She was in Bristol County Junior as Sheriff Jenny Taylor. I thought it was going to be Jenny Talia, but it's not. It's Jenny Taylor.
Yeah, now that's greater control than I have on.
And there he is,
joining Briscoe and whatnot.
Yep. I'm just trying to think if she was actually what was the movie she was in with Sigourney Weaver, and I thought it was Working Girl, but it's not. It's just one of those things. I can't find anything. But anyway, Jim, what do you give this a score of?
Are you telling me I have to give a score to a film that is made for the fans?
Yeah.
That is for the fans, made by fans. I'm sorry, this is going to have to be the 10.25. I'm not going to give it a full 11 because it has so many plot points, silly mistakes and everything that they could have easily fixed.
Can I just point out? I think like if you're not a Star Trek fan, like I know a guy called Sanctuary Geeks. I know Paul. He's never quite got into Star Trek, but he loved Galaxy Quest. And like,
and he's also a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles man.
Yeah.
But it's forgiving in all spectrums like that. This is not a preachy homage to the fan.
Yeah.
But when you look at it overall, was Justin's character name? Is it Justin?
Brandon.
Brandon, yes. When you look at it overall, it's centered around him and his friends. And that's a diverse crew. They come from all backgrounds, all what do you call all walks of life. Oh, wait, when I saw that comment. But it is a film bent around these geeks in the film. It just happens to happen to these actors. And you see who they are initially. You see the captain, you see his supposed best friend. You see, what's he called now again? The name slips. But the guy that is the pilot, Laredo, yes. He did it as a child.
Mm-hmm. Tommy Webber,
yeah. But as a grown-up, the aliens accept him fully. It was like, you're completely different from an 8-year-old to you mid-30 or whatever he's supposed to be.
They basically says how you have grown, so they're aware that he has grown.
Yeah, they're aware, but even so, it's like the changes. And they built the ship based on his movement. Oh, he went. I'm gonna get you one of these days. But based on his movement as an 8-year-old kid. But even so, overall, once you watch this is like you having your favorite glass of squash in the middle of the summer.
Sorry, up in Scotland, we don't drink squash. We drink ginger. We get a bottle of ginger.
That's BS. That's BS. I've been to Scotland. I see you drink nothing but
ginger
iron brew.
beer. Ginger beer is down in England. Ginger ale.
No. I'm not talking about that.
Ginger. We get a bottle of ginger.
Squash or ginger wine.
You can have squash. We'll have a bottle of ginger. A bottle of ginger isn't ginger beer because a bottle of iron brew could be ginger. A bottle of cola could be a bottle of ginger. A bottle of lime could be a bottle of ginger. You called it squash. We call it ginger.
That's false marketing. False marketing.
It's basically, it's the first time we noticed that was we would go down and get a bottle of ginger for the van. Right? First time we noticed it is we went down and we went in for 2 bottles of ginger. And we came out with a bottle of ginger beer and a bottle of ginger ale. And my sister looked and says, I told you to get us a bottle of ginger. I says, we did ask for 2 and they gave us these. Don't want ginger beer or ginger ale. So we went in and asked, and the woman says, oh, you mean squash? No, squash is orange. Orange squash. It's not a bottle of ginger. Coca-Cola isn't squash. Iron Brew isn't squash. It's ginger. End of story, boys.
Even so, and we're going to have a very pleasant discussion next summer up in Scotland.
I'm going to have some ginger at the moment. Hold on.
No, I'm not waiting for you.
I might call that ginger because it kind of is gingerish coloured.
No, it's just ginger.
Fair enough.
Juice or squash. A bottle of juice, a bottle of squash. It's basically we called it ginger. Obviously, is it changed now because everybody calls it ginger, a bottle of juice now. But we never called it a bottle of juice or a bottle of squash. It was a bottle of ginger.
Fair enough. I'm looking forward to come up to Scotland, sit in a lovely beer garden, and have a discussion of what is ginger and what is not.
What a fantastic live stream that would be.
I'm not sure it would be appropriate for YouTube, but either way,
it's no there new. It must have shifted.
Yeah. What the Scotsman just said. Either way, 10.25. It's not the, shall we say, the 11 out of 10 for when you find like this is hitting home so much that you can't give it anything else, but it's definitely above and beyond anything else. It's for the fans, by the fans, and it is not talking down to anyone.
No, Jim, we're doing above and beyond in a few weeks' time.
Oh no, that's another really great one. But that one, unfortunately, we're gonna have to tread carefully on because you know what they call the alien race. That has not been allowed to be said for like 30 years now.
But I'm sure we'll find space to go above and beyond.
We're gonna have to be careful because some terminology there. I mean, it's going to be difficult enough to describe yeah. But either way, that's my rating. 10.25 out of 10.
You're not allowed to give
it Galaxy Quest
scores. There you have. If anybody's wondering where the 10.25 came in, it's because I had to give 10.25 for Shawshank Redemption because my wife's favourite movie. So
yes, I have no such pressure. I'm more than happily giving it to this one.
Right, because we're next week. Do you remember what movies we're watching next week? Next week is Predator. Wendology's one of Wendology's picks, a favourite one. So we've got Predator next week. The week after it's Snatch. The week after it's Evolution. The week after, it's the TV show Chelsea
Well,
1, 2, 3.
hang on. It is evolution or evolution with.
No, it's no evil. It's evil.
Evil.
Evolution, you can actually class as something that's not very good. It's bad. It's evolution.
And I say tomato, and you say tomato.
We'll just call the whole thing off.
Yeah.
Then,
the one I'm thinking about has David? What's his after name from X-Files?
David Duchovny.
Duchovny, yeah.
Yeah, and it's got Scott Martin. Is it Scott William Hyde?
Scott Williams, something. He's basically Stifler in American Pie.
Yeah, so I like Evolution. It's one of the fun ones, so it is. I'll tell you who is it. There it's there. Oh, open your bugger. It's not opening. Oh well, never bother. Got it on the spreadsheet, but I can't be bothered actually finished it. That's the one. But I'm looking forward to that one as well. So next week is Predator.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Gwen
looking
is
forward to
already on fire in the chat. I mean, imagine her. She has to wait for a week for us to discuss it. She's going to be a nightmare.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Oh, are we doing the just the first one, or are we doing the sequel?
We're just doing Predator. No,
I'm sorry. Is there more than one?
It's a lie. There are no sequels.
Predator 2's not bad, is it?
No, it's different. No, it's not that bad.
it's different. It's basically in an urban environment. You've got people trying to track it with anti heat suits, and I know.
All I can say about that film before, let's give a bit of teaser for next week.
Yes.
A
So
bit of a tribute.
only Predator 1.
Yeah.
Can we do Predator 2 as a separate one?
Yes, we could do that, but we've already got our thing down. So drop us a line and I'll add it to the list because we're up until the end of September. I think, is it the end of September I'm actually up to? There it's there. So I've got up until the end of September. I've got stuff. So you've got Predator next week. The week after is Snatch. The week after is Evolution. The week after is Chelmsford 1, 2, 3. After that, it's Forrest Gump, then Keeping Mum, then Space Above and Beyond, then V, the classic miniseries, not the remake, and then it's Plebs. So that's 3 TV shows, 1 miniseries, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movies. And that's up until the end of September. So after that, I'm still, anybody wants something to add to it, just message me separately, not within the group, so separately. So don't want somebody to message in the group and then suddenly I get 50,000. This one. Do it in Discord. You said all in Discord. Message me in Discord, and that way I'll get it.
I've got 3 of my films, to put it up to the list.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Wendy's going off.
Oh. No man.
What are we doing? He says, looking at the video in his hand.
Sorry, Wendy. It's ma'am. It's ma'am. It ain't no man.
But are we doing, he says, looking at videos in his hand, read the original mini-series and read the final battle and then read the series?
No, read the mini classic. This is a classic one. The remakes don't count.
No, not the remakes. Read the original mini-series, then read the final battle, which was the second part of the mini-series, then the series which ends up with
there was so many there was so many around it, but I would say for sanity's sake, because a lot of them spin around themselves, it is not as bad as it is today with like the remake, reboot, but the TV miniseries from, was it 83 or 70 or whatever it was,
Yeah,
The original
is,
ones, that is what we're focusing on, because
the thing is as well, remember, because we're doing TV shows, some of them have got 2 seasons, some of them have got 1 season, some of them have got multiple seasons. The thing is, what we're going to do is, even if everybody just watches the pilot episode for it, so the miniseries, if you've not got time to watch it, at least watch the first episode. That's all we're saying. Same as Chelmsford 1, 2, 3 or Space Above and Beyond. There's too many. We are aware people have got time constraints, and watching a full season or 2 seasons over a week when you've got other stuff to do can be a bit.
But even so, if you did watch it back in the day, come and join us and discuss what you remember. You might get a refresher for someone that watched it more recently than you. And it's like, oh, hey, I might actually rewatch it sometime in the future.
Yeah.
That is what this whole discussion is about.
Exactly. So what we're going to do is finish up there. Remember, next Wednesday's Predator, when Dolly will be back, and she'll be on the, she'll be front and center. She'll be the one that'll be guiding it. She knows Predator better than the rest of us. So, Alec, Colin, anything to advertise?
Not particularly at the moment. We'll be back at the end of the month. We've look back at For All Mankind. But in the meantime, stay tuned for the date.
Yep. Sadako, anything coming up? Any channels you're on? Anything like that?
So I was away from the computer. What did you say?
anything coming up on YouTube that you want to actually let people know?
Nothing at the moment. I'm a bit streamed out at the moment, but I'm happy to join you for the Predator stream, though. Definitely.
Yep.
I feel for that.
Just if you've got anything on, even you want, even other channels you want people to actually come across, let them know. So, right. So Jim and myself will be here on Saturday as well. The guys are all welcome, as you always know. You can flit in and out. You don't need to actually hang me. The only one that needs to be there is me. Everybody else is optional. Everybody else is optional. The only one that needs to be there is me.
Yep, so, we're definitely feeling the +1 effect.
Yes, and this weekend's my anniversary, and I'm still going to be streaming, even though I'll be sitting there going, because I'll be out for a nice big steak dinner.
Whoa. Oh, we're gonna have food coma coming in early then.
Yep. Definitely.
PJ,
I'm going to get a nice big steak.
PJ, I was going to say, before you end the show, where you do your line, do you want to stand up and say it because you're wearing it?
I don't need to stand up and say it. Boil. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not old. I'm classic. PJ maybe and the guys out.